Something just tried to erase two interstellar objects from existence. Not slow decay, not cosmic dust. Actual attack-level energy bursts, hitting both SWAN and 3I Atlas. At the exact same second, NASA's live feeds went white. ESA's instruments crashed. For 7 full seconds, nothing in the sky existed where they should have been. Then suddenly, boom! They reappeared, glowing, shattered, and surrounded by halos of charged particles like they'd just survived something huge. Now here's where it gets terrifying. The energy didn't come from behind them. It came from ahead, something waiting between them and Earth. Every scientist thought the same thing. This has to be a data error, so they checked and rechecked. But both energy strikes aligned perfectly. Same wavelength, same impact direction, same exact timestamp. That's not a glitch. That's precision. And right before both objects were hit, they sent out the same repeating pulse, a pattern no one had ever seen before. 3 bursts. Then silence, then 3 again, almost like a distress signal or a warning. So now the question isn't what hit them, it's who heard that signal and why they're trying to destroy both objects before they reach us. Because if something out there is powerful enough to take out 2 interstellar travelers, and it's already aiming in our direction, we might be next. For days, astronomers had been watching 2 dots, SWAN and 3I Atlas, quietly crossing the outer solar system. Everything looked routine, perfectly calculated, predictable, until all at once, the data streams went wrong. The signal from SWAN began to fluctuate, dipping in intensity as though something was absorbing it. Meanwhile, 3I Atlas, millions of kilometers away, started to slow down. Not naturally, not gravitationally, like it was being dragged backward by something we couldn't see. At first, researchers blamed solar interference, maybe a coronal mass ejection, maybe magnetic turbulence. But the sun was silent. No flares, no radiation spikes, just the cold vacuum of deep space. Then came the real shock. Both SWAN and 3I Atlas recorded identical anomalies in their velocity data. Same curve, same timestamp. 2 separate cosmic objects in completely different regions, being affected by the same invisible force. When astrophysicists overlaid the data, the result was haunting. The speed drops lined up so precisely that it looked like a mirrored signal, as if one object was responding to the other. One of the senior scientists from the European Southern Observatory said, "It's like the universe pressed pause on both of them." But then came the sound. Hidden deep in SWAN's final telemetry packet, the team found a faint, rhythmic vibration, barely noticeable, but repeating every 6 seconds, almost like a heartbeat. 3 pulses, silence, then 3 more. Hours later, 3I Atlas transmitted the exact same pattern, same rhythm, same spacing. It was as if one was calling out and the other was answering. Agencies dismissed it as static interference, but one private research group refused to believe that. They ran the waveform through a deep space signal classifier, and what came out wasn't noise, it was a coordinate, a precise location, floating in the cold, dark void between both objects, right at the edge of the heliopause, the place where the solar wind dies and interstellar space begins. And that's when one scientist whispered what nobody wanted to hear. Something out there doesn't want them to reach us. Once they focused their telescopes on those coordinates, everything changed. The first readings showed intense electromagnetic surges, off the charts, unstable, erratic. Temperature spikes that made no sense for objects that far from the sun. Then came the impossible velocity readings. SWAN was losing mass, but speeding up. 3I Atlas was splitting apart, yet still maintaining trajectory. Every line of code screamed contradiction. Physics simply wasn't supposed to work like this. At 0317 UTC, NASA's automated AI flagged the anomaly as active non-gravitational acceleration. That's official jargon for something is steering it, but steering it how? And more importantly, why? When they ran the spectral data through a radiation analysis model, the pattern wasn't random. Every pulse, every energy burst formed a structure. It looked almost like interference, as if something was firing on both comets from a single origin point. Triangulation confirmed it. The bursts came from the exact same location the earlier coordinates had pointed to, that empty region beyond the solar wind's reach. In other words, whatever was there was real, and it was targeting them. For a brief moment, the data feed feed showed a massive energy spike. The luminosity readings tripled, and then both objects flared white-hot on screen. Every telescope across the globe captured the same thing, two brilliant blinding points in space. And then nothing, no debris, no echo trails, just radiation patterns spreading outward like ripples in water. The shape of those ripples was strange, perfectly circular, perfectly synchronized, almost as if something had erased them, cleanly, deliberately. When the data team at the European Space Operations Center reconstructed the wavefront, they found it wasn't expanding evenly. It was directional, moving inward, and when they traced its trajectory forward, it intersected with the inner solar system, on a direct line with Earth's orbital path. That's when one of the technicians turned to his supervisor and said quietly, "Sir, I think whatever destroyed them is coming this way. Inside mission control, silence is supposed to be a good thing. It means the systems are stable. It means nothing's wrong." But that night, the silence felt wrong. Monitors flickered. Telemetry screens were frozen. Every console that had been tracking SWAN and 3i Atlas now displayed the same thing: signal lost. At first, the room was calm, like every other anomaly briefing. Teams reviewed procedures. Operators checked the uplink relays, standard protocol. But then, one by one, the engineers realized it wasn't a transmission failure. The signal wasn't just lost. It was wiped out. Every frequency band they used had gone dark simultaneously. Not just the tracking beacons, but deep field radio, subspace radar, even the thermal imaging channels. Every instrument that had eyes on those objects had gone blind. The first voice to break the silence was from the data analyst team. "We're not just losing them. Something's blocking us." Within minutes, feeds from other observatories across the world came in. Chile, Hawaii, Japan, same message, same blackout. It was as if the universe itself had erased both targets from existence. The mission director ordered a full lockdown of all logs and communications. No leaks, no external transmission. Whatever happened out there wasn't ready for the public, but that's when the secondary telemetry node came online, a redundant satellite array that shouldn't have been active. It displayed a faint residual signal, one that didn't match either SWAN or 3i Atlas. At first, it looked like interference. Then the frequency stabilized, a low, pulsating rhythm, slow, intentional, almost like a response. Every person in the control room stopped moving. The signal had structure, repeating intervals, measurable decay. And inside that pattern, someone spotted a string of prime numbers. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, then pause, then repeat. That was no natural echo. That was intelligence. NASA's onboard AI attempted to classify it, but the algorithm glitched, not once, but 3 times. The log file flagged the source as non-natural before shutting down automatically. When engineers tried to reboot the system, they found the interface corrupted, as if something inside the AI had deliberately cut its own link to the signal. One of the technicians whispered, "It's like the AI didn't want us to hear it." In that instant, all emergency lights went red. Power surge. Overload detected in the main feed line. The comms array rebooted by itself, and for 2 seconds, every screen lit up with a single frame of data. Massive energy field forming near the heliopause, spinning, expanding, exactly where SWAN and 3i Atlas had last been detected. Then, total blackout. No power, no noise. Just the hum of emergency generators and the heavy breathing of people who had just realized they might be watching the beginning of something bigger. Someone finally broke the silence. If something out there destroyed them, what if it's not finished? The director didn't answer. He just stared at the empty screens, eyes locked on that last frozen frame. And in that moment, every person in that room silently asked the same question. Was it protecting us or warning us? The blackout didn't stop the investigation. It only made it more dangerous. Within hours, encrypted files from multiple observatories started circulating in private astronomy networks. Every dataset told the same story. The destruction of SWAN and 3i Atlas wasn't random. It followed a pattern. The radiation spikes before each disappearance matched something ancient, a frequency signature first recorded decades ago, during the Voyager missions. Back then, scientists dismissed it as deep space interference, but now it had returned. And this time, it was stronger. When they compared the data, the correlation was impossible to ignore. The same electromagnetic wavelength that once flickered at the edge of the heliopause had now reappeared exactly where SWAN and 3i Atlas were destroyed. That frequency frequency wasn't background noise, it was a signal, and according to the model reconstructions, it was being
Potential
emitted
gravitational
from a massive
distortion
field,
event,
nearly
the kind of thing
400
only
million
possible
kilometers
near
wide,
black
an
holes
energy
or
curtain
neutron
that seemed to
stars.
wrap
But
around
there
the
are no
outer
such
solar
objects
system
anywhere
like
near
a
that
defensive
region.
barrier.
So what
if
could
that's
generate
true,
that
then
much
SWAN and
force?
3I
In empty
Atlas
space,
didn't just
the
collide
European
with something.
Space Agency
They were
proposed
stopped by
one
it.
chilling
NASA's
theory.
Deep
Maybe
Space
it wasn't
Network
natural at
flagged
all.
it.
Maybe
Maybe it was artificial, a field of unknown energy designed to repel or destroy incoming interstellar material, like an invisible shield protecting the inner solar system. That would explain why the frequency pattern matched Voyager's data, because if this barrier has existed for decades, we've been inside it this whole time without knowing. But here's where the story turns darker. If that barrier was protecting us, something just broke it. The moment SWAN and 3I Atlas were vaporized, the wavefront didn't stop. It began moving inward. It's as if whatever triggered the destruction wasn't meant to stop them. It was meant to warn us. Some scientists began referring to the event as the helioshield breach. Others called it first contact by defense. But one researcher from Japan's JAXA observatory said something that shook the room. You don't build a wall unless there's something outside trying to get in. Think about that for a second. If SWAN and 3I Atlas were natural interstellar objects, fine, they were debris. But if they weren't, if they were probes or messengers from something beyond our system, then maybe this barrier reacted the way any defense system would, by eliminating a threat. And yet, if that system failed, if it's collapsing, then whatever it was keeping out could already be on its way in. Every space agency is now racing to re-establish long-range contact with the Voyager probes, hoping to confirm whether that barrier still exists. But so far, Voyager 1 hasn't responded. Its signal, once the strongest in deep space, has gone completely silent. And if Voyager, the oldest human-made object in interstellar space, can't transmit back through that wall anymore, then maybe, just maybe, something else is transmitting through instead. For weeks, mission control had gone dark. Every deep space antenna pointed toward the heliopause, but nothing came back. Just the hollow hiss of static. Even the backup arrays, the ones designed to hear the faintest whispers of the universe, heard nothing. Then, on a quiet morning, everything changed. The Canberra Deep Space Network suddenly detected a pulse. It wasn't random, it was structured. 6 spikes, each evenly spaced, then a pause. 6 more. The same heartbeat pattern that SWAN and 3I Atlas had sent before they vanished. But this time, there was something new beneath it. A low, distorted resonance. Not static, not noise. A voice. The first interpretation came from a signal processing AI that wasn't even supposed to be online. The system powered itself on automatically and began decoding. What it printed on the monitor froze everyone in the room. Heliopause breach response detected. Whatever was sending that signal was copying us. NASA's computers quickly began tracing the origin point. It wasn't from inside our solar system, not anymore. It was coming from just beyond the heliopause, the same region where both objects were destroyed. The echo wasn't only replying to us, it was learning. Within minutes, the signal frequency began to evolve. The 6 pulses became 12. The gaps shortened. It was as though the transmission was growing more efficient, adapting in real time, almost like it was preparing for conversation. Then came the second anomaly. The longer the echo transmitted, the more nearby satellites began malfunctioning. Thermal sensors glitched, communication feeds lagged, and one weather satellite, positioned near Earth's orbit, picked up something it shouldn't have, a faint electromagnetic ripple moving inward, perfectly synchronized with the signal. It wasn't just sound, it was energy, a wave expanding through the solar system, unseen, unstoppable, and accelerating. Scientists ran simulations to predict its trajectory. Every model gave the same terrifying result. If it continued at its current velocity, the wavefront would reach Earth's magnetosphere in less than 5 days. Panic spread quietly behind closed doors. All transmissions to the public were delayed, edited, or under review. But you can't hide something that massive for long. Amateur radio astronomers began reporting strange interference across the world. Shortwave radios picked up rhythmic pulses, and in some cases, the pattern matched the exact same 6-beat structure. Someone online uploaded the decoded waveform to an audio spectrogram, and that's when it got even stranger. Hidden deep within the frequency bands, there was a repeating shape, a visual pattern. It looked like a circle fractured through the center, with lines branching outward like veins or cracks. The image matched something ancient, a glyph first seen in old Voyager transmission anomalies from decades ago. A symbol that's been appearing across cosmic data archives for years, but never explained. That's when the AI, the same one that decoded the first line, rebooted itself again. The screen flickered white and a new phrase appeared. Echo confirmed. Interface preparing, then total silence. Every system went dark. No alarms, no power surge. Just the hum of machines waiting for something to answer. And seconds later, the lights came back on. Every monitor in the control room displayed a single frozen frame. Coordinates. Not near Mars, not near Jupiter, but somewhere in between. Drifting in the void. At those coordinates, telescopes confirmed it. An object, small but bright, moving directly toward the inner system. Trajectory Earth. The room went silent again. No one spoke. No one breathed. Then a quiet voice from the back said what everyone was thinking. That's not a reflection. That's a reply. The coordinates weren't random. When scientists plotted the trajectory on a solar map, it formed a straight line, a perfect geometric path from the heliopause to Earth's orbital plane. That kind of precision doesn't happen in nature. Something was guiding it. Within hours, observatories around the globe locked their instruments onto the incoming object. At first, it appeared small, less than 200 meters across. But the closer it got, the brighter it became. Its luminosity didn't behave like a comet. It wasn't reflecting light. It was emitting it. The object's spectrum showed something no one had ever seen before, a fusion of organic and metallic elements. Not asteroid rock, not ice, but something in between, like a living machine. Telemetry showed bursts of radiation pulsing in intervals, mirroring the same 6-beat pattern that had echoed through space days earlier. Only now, each pulse was followed by a microburst of gravitational distortion. The laws of physics weren't just bending, they were reacting to it. By day 3, the wavefront had entered the inner solar system. Planetary magnetic fields began to fluctuate. Auroras appeared near the equator, places that had never seen them before. Satellites started to fail. GPS systems glitched. And then the power grids began to flicker. Governments issued no official statement. But behind the scenes, emergency channels went live. Deep space radar from the European Space Agency detected a thin ring of energy following behind the object, like a tail or maybe a shockwave. It wasn't slowing down. It was accelerating. At 0319 UTC, a coded message was sent to every allied space agency on Earth. Object confirmed. Contact expected 72 hours. That's when the countdown began. In the final transmission log, one of the engineers monitoring the signal noticed something no one could explain. When the object passed Jupiter's orbit, it changed course, ever so slightly, aligning itself not with Earth's center, but with the moon. And just before that adjustment, the signal pulse changed again. The 6-beat rhythm fractured into a sequence of ones and zeros, binary code. When decoded, the message was simple and terrifying. We were never meant to see this. For the first time in history, multiple AI systems across different agencies refused to process further data. They shut themselves off automatically, as though the signal itself had triggered a failsafe. Whatever this thing was, the machines wanted nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers began reporting visual sightings. A faint moving glow across the night sky, visible for only a few seconds before vanishing. Some said it looked like a sphere. Others claimed it had wings. But all described the same eerie detail. A soft, pulsing blue light, blinking like a heartbeat. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, one of the last running spectrometers captured a final burst from the object before the system fried. The data file was incomplete, but its header contained a line of machine-readable text that wasn't generated by Earth software. It read, "Sequence complete. Interface stable." Then, silence. For 12 hours, no further data came through, until the deep space radar, the same one that had detected the original echo, registered a return pulse. But this time, the signal wasn't coming from space. It was coming from behind the moon. Instantly, global communication networks went down. Satellites blinked offline. And for a brief, terrifying moment, every device connected to the internet displayed the same message. Not in English, not in code, but as a waveform, a sound. A low, resonant hum that millions of people heard at once. Every frequency analyzer on Earth picked it up, and when converted into image data, it showed the same circle pattern again, fractured through the center, glowing faint blue. And then, right as the hum faded, the moon lit up. A ripple of light expanded across its surface like a pulse, followed by a deep shadow, as though something behind it was beginning to move. No one knows what happened next.